We're going to call the meeting back to order. Okay. We had, I was going to move on to agenda item number 7. We still have an outstanding question there. Hello? We were going to move on to agenda item number 7 right after lunch, but we still have an outstanding question there, so we're going to move on to agenda item number 9 and bring back number 7 here in just a bit. So we're moving on to agenda item number 9. Mike?
Good afternoon. For the record, Mike Cox, Big Game Staff Biologist for Nevada Department of Wildlife. Here to go over some elk harvest management strategies that we and others have been kicking around for some length of time to try to be more effective and successful in harvesting primarily cow elk, but elk that are a problem, which sometimes bulls are a problem. And just a little bit of background, we had a game division meeting in Ely this summer with all of our biologists, and we were generating some ideas there. We also met with the TAC committee last month with some of these ideas, and we felt it would be good to have an opportunity in front of the Wildlife Commission and the advisory boards to get their input on some of these options, all of them with a premise of trying to be more successful in harvesting more elk where we need population objectives to be met, trying to be cognizant of the already congested hunts out there, and a few other things. So the first option, somebody else may have coined this delk tag, maybe Utah, but it's the concept is for some of our areas we have a lot of deer and a lot of elk, and if someone is applying for a deer tag, let's say in area 6, and chances are he's probably going to see a lot of cow elk while he's deer hunting, we would try to offer an opportunity for that tag applicant to acquire an elk tag if he's successful in drawing a deer tag. So that's kind of the basics, but there's a lot of ins and outs of the issuance of the tag and the application process. So unless you want me to go down too far into the weeds, if there's some questions of a particular point at which that tag would be issued, or I or Maureen Hullinger can help answer that, the details.
Commissioner Drew?
Mike, in here under number 5, you had mentioned the option or the possibility of doing a spike elk hunt. Is there some reason that you couldn't run that in conjunction with the cow elk season? So it's either a cow or a spike? Is there a reason not to combine those? Just out of curiosity.
You know, it's very, very good question. Years ago, and it's probably happening now, our law enforcement had asked us about combining antlerless and spike. The spikes are running with the cows, and there's some resistance out there. And now that I think about it, I'm not sure who's resisting it, but I guess as biologists, we need to harvest the females who are generating the young. Spikes are nice, but our goal is population control. Personally, I don't think we're going to harvest a ton of spikes if you combine them. The other thing is they're separate categories for bonus points, for eligibility. That gets a little complicated or not? I'm looking to my compadre here. No.
Well, and that, I guess that was part of my question, is that if we do a spike hunt and a cow hunt, then we have one new hunt, I guess, with the spike, whereas if we combine it, we're still under the same hunt, logistically. I guess there's a biological component, and then there's a logistical component from the regulation standpoint. Just I guess biologically was my question, so. you answered
Yeah,
that.
we certainly would like to kill, have all the animals that we kill being adult females, but even today, we are killing male calves in those hunts, that 4181, 76, and 11 hunts, so that's probably only the stigma is it might reduce the number of adult females that we'd harvest.
Follow-up to that, though, isn't our bull-cow ratio way up there, though? I mean, we're running a lot of bulls per cows, too. So if you did incorporate the spike, you could see a decrease in your bull-cow?
Yeah, in the seasons, I do believe, like most states, we probably will be asking for the season date for spikes to be the same time as the cow, as the antlerless elk. Maybe with a slight shift on the front end to reduce the amount of hunters out there at any one time. During the opener, try to have a couple different openers, but it would probably have quite a bit of an overlap. So I as a biologist, I don't think we'd have a huge amount of heartburn. We just have to increase tags. So yeah. Well, anyway, so the first strategy alternative was that delk tag. Maureen, Hullinger, and I have already went through what regulations we would have to change in terms of eligibility, commission regulations. Maureen, is there NECs that we have to change on this one? Yeah. NEC 502, 4187.
Maureen Hullinger for the record. NAC 502-4187 is the one we identified. At this point, of course, once you send something to LCB, they may find something else, but we went through them all. But at this point, that's the only one we could see.
Right.
We would then have CR, of course, which is your seasons setting, and hunter choice, where you identify your season and quotas involved at the annual level after that. So those are the things that we identified.
Yeah, that basically would prevent someone from acquiring or accumulating bonus points on this hunt. This is not, we don't want applicants to start building bonus points for delk tags. You either get it or you don't. And we would consider this for all weapon classes. So if you have an archery deer tag, you could have an archery antlerless tag, and same thing with muzzleloader. The second one, we continue to have a large number of hunters who have killed their potential once-in-a-lifetime bull in Nevada, applying during the antlered depredation hunts, hoping to kill even a bigger bull than they did in their standard hunt. We definitely have seen people passing up raghorn bulls on depredation hunts, which is not our intent of establishing those hunts. A 380 bull does similar damage than a 300 bull, but we know that people are passing up bulls. So we think that we went down the path years ago, probably a wrong path, of having depredation hunt applicants building up these expectations of killing trophy bulls on a depredation hunt. And we think part of the reason is you can accumulate bonus points. So there's a value to that. And we are recommending that we just strip the ability for a depredation bull hunt to accumulate bonus points. And we just want people to go shoot a bull of any size during these depredation hunts.
Any comments from the commission on that? Chad?
Whether a person has depredation points or not I don't think is gonna change his mind whether he wants to kill a trophy bull or pass on one. He's still gonna go hunt for the bull that he wants, whether he had 6 bonus points or 0. So I don't know if it will make a huge difference, but I kinda understand where you're coming from, but I just don't know in the whole gist of things if it will have an effect on the majority of the hunters.
And it may not. You're going to have a bigger pool of people who probably aren't trophy orientated, but if someone who is trophy orientated does draw the tag, his expectation's not going to change. You're right. Which is where, maybe a management bull hunt or more spike hunts we should consider. If truly those type of bulls are out there, we need to focus hunters on them. The next one is maybe the, well, I don't know. I think it has a lot of support. For the longest time, people who have been waiting for their potentially one and only bull tag of their lifetime, being a Nevada resident, could never, ever step out and stop applying for a bull tag for even 1 year in order to acquire a cow tag. So he just feels the bonus points are so valuable that he can't even not get another bonus point for bull, because then he'll be one step behind 500 others who have been committed to putting in for a bull tag every year. So we think there's a huge pool of hunters who are probably very effective at elk hunting, who never get the cow elk because they've been waiting for this bull hunt. So we're recommending to allow, in the same draw, someone to put in for an antlerless tag and an antlered bull tag. And there are devils in the detail. There's a lot of ways you can go, but I think in terms of, we feel if the person draws the bull tag, then he would be unsuccessful for the antlerless. Now you could say, well, maybe the guy wants, or the person wants, a cow and a bull tag in the same year. There's a lot of other people who probably give up a lot just to have a cow tag. And so we're recommending a part of this alternative would be that it would be one or the other, but your bull tag would be selected first. That's our recommendation at this point.
And my thought process on that is the guy that has the bull tag is committed to being in the field. And he gets to the end of the day and there's a cow standing by the road. He's likely to tip that cow over. The guy that has a cow tag isn't as committed to being there. So his success might not be I just soon get that tag into the hunter's hand and you don't have another hunter in the field. You just have one gun, one hunter, and it's not a congestion issue again. It's kind of like the Delk tag. I wouldn't care if a guy had a bull tag and a cow tag in the same unit, same year, and he could hunt them both at the same time.
Well, this isn't a bow tag.
Bull.
Yeah. You could theoretically draw 2 different unit groups for your cow and your bull, and be having to go to do 2 different unit groups. That's the way we've got it set up, is the applicant would have full rights to all the hunter choices for bulls and all the hunter choices for cow elk. And even if you put the same unit groups in the same order, we all know that because you can draw your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th choice, you could get 2 different unit groups. We could switch it where your cow tag would be kind of like the Delk tag. It's whatever unit you're putting in for your bull, you can pick up a cow at the same time. So I'm open to that. if that's your thought.
That's my thought, unless somebody else has one, but I think our objective here is to start harvesting elk. Commissioner Moore.
I agree with that, and it would also address the issue that we've heard of having the problems in the wilderness areas where the cow hunters are not so apt to hike in there miles for a cow, but a bull hunter will. And he's gonna have the support group with him to be able to harvest the bull. If he had a cow at the same time, a cow tag at the same time for the same unit, he's already set up to be able to harvest the cow.
Director
Sounds good.
Wadley.
I guess all this discussion is kind of framed in the context of our desire to have more dead elk, to hold true to the objectives and the agreement that we have out there in many of these populations. I guess one potential downside to the tag that we're talking about right now is kind of the scarcity mentality of a guy that draws a bull tag and then also has a cow tag when there's people sitting at home without either, not understanding the justification behind it. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a consideration.
Commissioner Bliss.
One concern I have is there's a group of people out there that just like to hunt cows, period. They don't put in for anything else. If they're available, if they're eligible to hunt bulls, they still put in for a cow hunt because they would like the meat and they want to hunt cows. And if we start adding all these different options, are we going to take from the tags from the pool of the hunters that just want to apply for a cow, and are they going to have less of a chance of drawing a tag because we have to, I mean, if you had 200 cow tags in an area now, if you add other ways to hunt cows in that same unit, you're going to increase, you know, you might have 400 people in their cows, but with cow tags, are you going to have to limit some of them tags down to 100, like 100 to, so you have enough, so you don't over-harvest, is what I'm saying? If that could be done at this time, but.
I don't know if we can over-harvest elk.
Well, I understand that, but I just have a concern for the individuals that only put in for a cow tag. I know my parents, that's what they do.
And I believe some of this stuff will have an impact on the person that is a pure cow hunter. And I realize that, but I think our main objective here is we've made agreements to even have these elk. And we need to come up with tools in the toolbox to get back to where we've made those agreements, and we're not there. So have an impact on some people, yes, I believe it will. But I believe that we're not holding true to our word at this point. So there may be some people impacted in the process, but we need to come up with every tool in the toolbox to stay true to our word and keep credibility so we can keep moving forward on other projects. I mean, if we can't get there, it makes the rest of our life more difficult in everything we do.
I think in the short term, you know, these are definitely going to be add-on tags. So we're still going to have a very large quota with the standard 4181, 4176, and 4111 hunts. But maybe as we reach our population objectives, I would think if we're going to gear down from any hunt, it would probably be some of these new special hunts in terms of shifting those tags out of that now that we're, you know, we feel like we don't need as many these additional hunts.
I know we're at a point that we have to hit them pretty hard, but to make sure that we don't get into the same situation in right now, we have to stay after them pretty hard at the same time. I mean, you say there might be a point we let up a little bit, but if we let up, we end up exactly where we are, and then we have to shift and go again. I don't see us really lightening up on the way the cow hunting is going right now. If we did over-harvest one year, within 1 or 2 years, we're going to be back to where we were. They're proving that day in and day out. If we miss the mark on overharvest by 200 animals, they're going to infill in a hurry.
Yep. Compensatory mortality and density-dependent reproduction. The next one, so I guess the other thing I should let everyone be aware of is we have right now for review at the Legislative Council Bureau the NEC changes that would accommodate these options. We can pull any one of them and crinkle it up and throw it in the wastebasket, but we wanted to be able to have the option in December that whatever was endorsed here or whatever nuance change was here, that we could have the NACs adopted in December so that when February comes around, whatever was supported, we could actually establish the season for, and then have the rest of the framework for the application and regulatory process in place. So we definitely need to get some thoughts back of if there's going to be a change, give us a hint of what direction we should try to go for the December meeting. The next one, we had some concerns from Lincoln County and White Pine County that many of the newer wilderness areas in the last 6-7 years in White Pine and Lincoln County are becoming a bit of a refugia for cow elk, and some of our standard cow elk hunters are just unwilling to go into the wilderness for whatever reason. So I know some other western states have similar tags of only hunting in the wilderness and trying to specifically target people who are right out of the box willing to go into the wilderness. And again, these would be probably additional tags on top of what we're already going to issue. And the hunt boundary would be the wilderness. There'd be a map associated with it. It would be just like any other. It'd be a 4181 hunt with an asterisk and a footnote with stating the boundary restrictions are such and such, the boundary, wilderness boundary as per the Forest Service, as per the BLM. The next one is spike hunts that are already established in regulation. We're just letting you know that we're coming with some spike hunts next February in select unit groups. The sixth one, we're shifting to a more effective weapon class, not for the long term. So we're wanting to use probably the best time of year to be out cow elk hunting, which is right now. But we are here doing our due diligence, and we've got a lot of cow elk hunters who are having a blast somewhere in Nevada. But this September 17th through the 30th, we would shift it from a muzzleloader hunt to a rifle hunt, maybe for 1 or 2 years, knowing that we can probably kill 50-60% more animals with a rifle, any legal weapon. But yeah, the muzzleloader hunter for that unit group would definitely not benefit. But this is not going to be statewide. It's just, as Commissioner Robb said, there is some need to keep the pedal to the metal on some of these unit groups, and this would definitely help. This other one, I know even within our own game ranks, it's got mixed opinions. Some situations we've heard is with a 10-year wait for harvesting a bull, people are they really want that bull to meet their trophy expectations if they've got to wait 10 years. And again, maybe a management bull hunt might help out here, but we feel if we could move the eligibility for bull harvest and being unsuccessful with a bull tag the same 5 years, maybe the last day of the season, the hunter knows that it's a 5-year wait whether he pulls the trigger or not, and maybe the bull isn't what he had expected to kill when he was dreaming about it 2 months earlier, but nonetheless, it's a nice bull. It's meat in the freezer, and then he would have a 5-year wait. We didn't recommend management bull hunts. We couldn't, as game biologists, we had some issues with implementation of those, but I think it's still on the table. Whether, again, we look at these depredation hunts, if we just have an antlered bull hunt, people are going to want to get the biggest antlers. But there are a lot of bulls that we'd love to have harvested that are less than trophy size. But it's the issue of commitment, of having to collect information from the bull harvested so it meets whatever, quote, slot limit that we establish, whatever criteria we establish. And there's some baggage associated with that. It can be overcome, but it's added time to people's plates that's overflowing right now. So, in fact, I was going to talk to Corey Lytle today, if he was here, about some of his ideas on that. But so that is the limited suite of alternatives that we're looking at to be a little bit more effective. And again, being cognizant of not adding a ton of extra tag holders in the field. And that's certainly going back to that delk tag. It tries not to add any more people out there, but still get some harvest. 2 tags in somebody's back pocket.
Any further questions for Mike? Seeing none. You have anything else to add?
We'll have to chat with our director of some of the feedback we got today, and how to move forward with crafting the regulations for December. So, but again, if we're not on the exact same page as you, make the alternative change, and we'll prove something in December. Anything we do will be positive.
With it being informational, we have a hard time giving you much guidance. but-
I understand. I understand.
Okay, we're going to close agenda item number 9. Our DAG is not present, so we're going to move on to agenda item number 10 right now before we move back to 7. So number 10, Commissioner or Director Wasley.
Yeah, this is should be a relatively minor order of business. It's a request from a approved heritage project. The project proponent is the USGS, and heritage, I guess by statute, can't pay overhead. USGS is required by statute to charge overhead to governmental agencies. And so the USGS has worked with a nonprofit, the Nevada Chukar Foundation, and USGS can waive their requirement for overhead if they're working with a nonprofit. And so USGS would like to transfer that project and rename the project proponent as the Nevada Chukar Foundation so that they can circumvent the requirement for overhead on that project.
Any question by the commissioners? Seeing none, this is an action item. Any public comment on that? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for a motion. Commissioner Drew?
I'd make a motion to modify the project as presented by the department.
Second?
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passed unanimous. We're moving on to agenda item number 11, Memorandum of Understanding for Reciprocal Fishing and Watercraft Registration on waters of the Colorado River, Colorado State, Nevada, and Utah. Arizona, I mean, sorry. Arizona.
Chairman Robb and Commissioners, John Schoberg, Chief of Fisheries, on behalf of Deputy Director Haskins. We are requesting Commission consideration and approval of an amended reciprocal agreement with the state of Arizona through, as addressed in Section 502.045 of NRS, which places that authority for such agreements, reciprocal agreements, with the Commission. These modifications to the existing Memorandum of Understanding do two things. One is relative to fishing privileges. As background, currently the minimum age for a fishing license on the Colorado River reciprocal waters, which is Lake Mead, Lake Mojave, and the Colorado River below Davis Dam, is 14. That is consistent with the current Arizona requirement. Everywhere else in Nevada, of course, it's 12 years old for a minimum age, except for reciprocal waters with California. Arizona is changing their requirement as of January 1 that a fishing license will be required at age 10. This will allow, this modification to the Memorandum of Understanding will set that minimum age for requirement at the age which is the oldest for either of the two states. So this would then move that minimum age requirement on the Colorado River to 12, consistent with Nevada, for both resident and non-resident minor anglers of both states. The language has also been modified, and this in your support material is Article 5 under fishing privileges to read, each state will recognize the reciprocal state's privilege of a minor to fish without a license as prescribed by law. By phrasing it that way, we will not have to go back and amend the agreement again if either state makes a future change in that minimum age requirement, unlike the way it was previously. The second thing this does is address watercraft requirements for both states, reciprocal recognition of the aquatic invasive species decal requirement. This adds to our agreement with Arizona, the recent NRS change, which allows Arizona registered vessels only on those reciprocal waters to not have to display a Nevada aquatic invasive species decal. That is because we recognize that Arizona's program is included in their boat registration, so they do not have a decal requirement, and we recognize that program. This also recognizes Nevada registered watercraft in operating in Arizona parts of the reciprocal waters with that AIS decal as a requirement for Nevada registered vessels. So hopefully that was clear. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, this is an action item. Any public comment on this? Come on up.
Mr. Chair, for the record, Jana Wright. My only question was, it seems that the agreement is for 25 years. That just seemed long when it takes both parties have to agree to amend it or dissolve it. That was my only question, was 25 years seemed like a long, long time.
Okay. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding for Reciprocal Fishing and Watercraft Registration on the waters of the Colorado River and common to the states of Nevada and Arizona as presented by the department.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two original copies of the agreement already approved by the Arizona Game and Fish Commission. I'll provide those to the secretary for
Okay, thank you.
commission signature.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break so I can talk to Mr. Newton. We'll be back in 5 minutes.